I asked my husband's Italian friend to cook for herself and told her I would not eat her food. So my husband's college buddy Marco came to stay with us for 2 weeks while he was between apartments. Marco's this really sweet Italian guy who barely speaks English and always wants to help out around the house. The problem is, I'm a total control freak when it comes to my kitchen. Marco kept trying to cook these elaborate Italian meals for all of us. Like, he'd wake up at 7 in the morning and start making fresh pasta from scratch, using every single pot and pan I owned. My counters would be covered in flour, there'd be tomato sauce splattered on my backsplash, and my kitchen would smell like garlic for 3 days straight. Don't get me wrong, the food looked amazing, but I have this weird thing where I can't eat food that other people make in my kitchen. It's not logical, I know that. I just get this anxious feeling thinking about someone else's hands all over my stuff, using my knives, touching my ingredients. My husband thinks it's ridiculous, but it's just how I am. After the 3rd day of Marco turning my kitchen into what looked like a bomb went off, I finally snapped. I was trying to make my usual Tuesday night tacos, but I couldn't find anything because he'd moved all my spices around and there was this thick layer of flour dust on everything. Marco was standing there with this proud smile, holding up this gorgeous plate of homemade ravioli, saying something in Italian that I'm pretty sure meant, "Try this." And I just looked at him and said, "Marco, from now on you can cook for yourself, but I won't be eating any of it." The poor guy's face just fell. He didn't understand why I was being so rude. My husband walked in right at that moment and heard me, and he looked at me like I'd just kicked a puppy. But here's the thing, I wasn't trying to be mean. I explained to Marco through Google Translate that I have this anxiety thing about food preparation, and it's nothing personal against him or his cooking. I told him he was welcome to use the kitchen whenever he wanted, but I'd stick to making my own meals. Marco seemed to understand, but then things got weird. He started cooking these incredibly elaborate meals just for himself. We're talking 5-course dinners with homemade bread, fancy sauces, the whole deal. Meanwhile, my husband and I would be sitting there eating microwave burritos. The smell was torture. Whatever Marco was making always smelled 10 times better than anything I could cook. My husband kept giving me these looks like, "This is your fault," every time Marco would sit down to eat his gourmet meal while we had our sad takeout. After about a week of this, my husband finally broke. He was watching Marco eat this amazing-looking chicken parmigiana while we shared a frozen pizza, and he just got up and asked Marco if he could have some. Marco was thrilled and started piling food onto my husband's plate. So now every night, it's Marco and my husband having these fantastic Italian dinners together while I eat my boring safe food alone. They've started speaking in this broken English-Italian mix, laughing at jokes I don't understand, bonding over recipes my husband's never shown any interest in before. The worst part is, I can tell the food really is incredible. The kitchen smells like some fancy restaurant every single night. My husband keeps making these little happy sounds while he eats, and he started asking Marco to teach him how to make things. Yesterday, Marco made this pasta dish that smelled so good, I actually stood in the kitchen for 10 minutes just breathing it in. When he offered me some, I almost said yes. Almost. But then I remembered how anxious I get, and I just shook my head and went to heat up my leftover Chinese food.